It sailed alone for 38 years without a single living soul on board. The SS Baychimo became an enduring maritime phantom, drifting through the unforgiving Arctic cold while entire human generations lived and died. This steel-hulled cargo steamer refused to sink, rewriting every rule of the sea. Built in 1913 for the Hudson's Bay Company, this formidable vessel was engineered to conquer brutal polar routes. Measuring approximately 200 feet in length, it possessed a gross register tonnage of 1,600 tons, making it a heavy and powerful workhorse of northern trade. Beneath its thick iron plates and sturdy cargo holds lay the weight of northern commerce and relentless corporate ambition. Yet no amount of engineering could outsmart the shifting polar pack ice of the vast Chukchi Sea, where nature ultimately laid its permanent trap. The disaster began unfolding slowly as temperatures plummeted and the sea froze solid around the hull. Captain Robert Gardner and his exhausted crew watched in mounting dread as the crushing pressure of the pack ice began to warp the very steel frame of their ship.
By October 13th, 1931, the situation had become completely untenable for anyone remaining on board. Captain Robert Gardner and his crew made the heavy decision to abandon the ship, seeking refuge on the frozen shore as polar winds howled across the white expanse.
They left behind a silent, darkened vessel encased in glittering ice, believing its end was absolute. But the Arctic had other plans for the cargo steamer, transforming a simple wreck into a floating anomaly that refused to remain locked in one frozen place. Barely 24 hours after the official evacuation, the desertion of the vessel took a bizarre turn. The crew of the MV Hudson's Bay first sighted the unmanned ship drifting freely on October 14, 1931, moving eerily across the open leads of freezing water.
There was no smoke rising from its iron stack, no figures moving along the snow-dusted deck, and no sound save for creaking metal. It drifted with the ocean current like a patient predator, mocking the men who had abandoned its freezing corridors just a day prior. How could a trapped ship break free and travel miles through treacherous ice without human hands at the wheel? This first unexpected encounter planted the seed of a legend, proving the steamer was now entirely at the mercy of the violent polar elements. As the seasons turned, the abandoned vessel refused to sink or smash itself to pieces against the rocky shoreline. Instead, the steel-hulled cargo steamer became a persistent ghost, reported repeatedly as drifting unmanned by various sailors and resilient Inuit hunters between 1931 and 1969. Witnesses described spotting the silhouette of the ship cutting through thick sea fog miles from any shipping lane. It seemed to possess an unnatural survival instinct, dodging catastrophic collisions and weathering brutal winter storms that regularly tore smaller wooden vessels to splinters. Each sighting added another layer of eerie folklore to the ship's expanding reputation across the Northern Territories. Was the vessel truly empty, or did the relentless cold preserve something else within its shadowed, frozen interior rooms? In 1933, a determined attempt was made to recover the ship after a promising sighting near the coast. Salvage crews braved the sub-zero temperatures, hunting down the coordinates with hopes of towing the valuable cargo steamer back to a profitable southern port. The rescuers managed to close the distance, matching the drifting speed of the ghost ship and the biting wind. They prepared their grappling lines and boarding equipment, watching the hull rise and fall with the heavy, dark swells of the freezing ocean. Then, before a single grappling hook could secure the rail, the vessel disappeared entirely into a dense fog bank. When the mist finally cleared hours later, the bay was completely empty, leaving the frustrated salvage crew staring at an open, mocking horizon. Years bled into decades, and the cargo steamer continued its lonely, unguided tour of the northern polar cap. Governments and commercial companies largely gave up active tracking, yet bush pilots and coastal traders kept filing sporadic, baffling reports of the wanderer. To the indigenous communities who watched the ghost ship past their settlements, it became an accepted part of the harsh landscape. It was a metal specter that arrived with the autumn freeze and vanished with the spring thaw, accountable to no flag or captain. By the 1960s, the ship had survived nearly 40 years of continuous battering by ice and freezing gales. Its survival defied every known principle of marine architecture and naval decay, turning physical science into a baffling riddle of endurance. The final documented sighting of the Baychimo occurred in 1969, trapped once again firmly inside pack ice. Observers noted the rusted hulk looked worn and battered, yet its heavy steel structure still stubbornly resisted the crushing embrace of the frozen sea. Search operations launched shortly afterward failed to relocate the vessel, initiating a frantic hunt across its usual drift zones. Planes swept the freezing white horizon for hours, scanning every ridge of ice and dark channel of water for any sign of the steamer. No wreckage was ever recovered from the water, and no metal hull was spotted breaching the ice again after that year. The steel ghost simply dissolved into the northern expanse, leaving behind a legacy that still haunts the annals of maritime history. Searches in recent decades by governments and maritime historians have failed to find any confirmed trace of the hull. Whether the steamer finally succumbed to the deep ocean trenches or was slowly pulverized by monumental ice pressure remains entirely unknown. The steel-hulled cargo steamer stands alone as one of the most persistent and well-documented ghost ships in human records. For nearly 4 decades, it sailed without a crew, defying gravity, decay, and the most hostile environment on planet Earth. Today, the coordinates of its final movements are lost to the shifting ice, but the story refuses to sink. Somewhere beneath the freezing currents of the Arctic, or locked deep within a moving glacier of ice, the phantom cargo steamer waits for its next voyage.